Block 1, Unit 1, Planning Lessons. The name of chapter is Planning Lessons from Course Materials to Classroom Process. The structure of this unit are: first is objective, then the nature of instruction through classroom lessons, then key features of the typical language lesson, then planning at the level of the teacher, then teacher level plans with some samples, and finally the sum up of all the things. First, objective. This unit focuses on the teacher's preparation and planning for classroom lesson and on ways of looking back on lessons after they have been taught. After going through it, you should have gained an awareness and appreciation of: number 1, the nature of learning experiences that can be generated during a classroom lesson. Number 2, the difference between teaching a body of content and facilitating skill development in the context of language learning. Third, the range of factors affecting the nature and quality of classroom activities. Then, the ways of recording weekly and daily plans in a teacher's diary and of preparing detailed lesson notes. The value of making post-lesson entries in the diary. This would serve as preparation for Unit 3. Next, how the planning of lesson can be comprehensive and yet be flexible. And the last is the need for the effective management of classroom activities. And this would serve as preparation for Unit 2. Now, the first topic, the nature of instruction through classroom lesson. The individual teacher dealing with her particular class of pupils is, as we have seen, working within an already prepared framework. This framework, represented by the syllabus and materials, is general and common to all classes of a given level. It is easy to see that designers and producers of the common curriculum do not have access to all this detailed information about every class in every school. And even if they did, they would not be able to include it in a common curriculum in any meaningful way. Thus, the prescribed scheme found in the syllabus and materials amounts only to a loose and incomplete framework. The teacher has to fill in the spaces and fulfill the intentions of a curriculum planners. She has to develop this scheme, words on paper, into teaching learning activities that call for attention and effort on the part of real learners. These activities that make up lessons provide learning experiences. These lessons spread over a term of year constitute the major part of the actual instruction in given subjects that pupils receive in school. They are the building block of a school-based instruction. The simplest way of describing the school teacher's job or profession is to refer to the teaching of lessons in the classroom. Of course, the teacher does other things, and many things that happen outside the classroom are also the concern of the teacher. Homework is the best example. But nearly all these outside class activities are linked to some specific aspect of lessons in class. The pre-designed syllabus, materials, framework, as we have seen, is general. Lessons occur in particular classroom and so have to be specific. This means making what happens during the lesson appropriate for a particular group of pupils involved. A teacher giving private or individual tuition to a pupil tries to match her tutoring to the need of their learner. She does this partly by adjusting the complexity of presentation, the nature of explanation and illustrations, the speed or pace of the discussion, the extent of repetitions and review. The classroom teacher faces a similar challenge, but in relation to say 40 pupils, while paying individual and personalized attention to each one of them is clearly impossible. The teacher has to try and reach as many different types of learners as possible. The eager and the seemingly disinterested, the capable and the weak, those who try hard or even struggle, and those who give up easily, those who cooperate and those who disrupt, and so on. Handling such diversity with sensitivity and imagination is the central challenge facing the teacher. We shall see later in this unit how planning helps in this context. The size and diversity of a typical class has another important implication, that is, that lesson take place in a social context. A class is not made up of 40 isolated individuals sitting at their desk and dealing only with the teacher. The pupil form a social group. Interactions among them is inevitable as they are together for many hours a day. We could treat this as a nuisance. Alternatively, we could treat it as a valuable resource that can be built upon. We would then see lessons as something learners and teachers work together to create, and not essentially something that pupils sit back and receive, like the strangers who happen to go into the same public lecture hall or theater at the same time. Interactions between members of this learning group is inevitable. We could view this as something undesirable that happen when the teacher's back is turned. Alternatively, we could treat this as a resource and make the participation and interaction among pupils as a valuable resource that can be made a part of lesson. What this means essentially is that different pupils could be doing somewhat different things, and some part at least of what they say and do contribute to the public lessons, and does not remain only a personal learning experience. When individuals interact and collaborate, they have different roles and so have to use language for different purposes. This means producing a wide range of text, as we have seen in course 2. The language available during a lesson thus doesn't have to be restricted to what is in that book or what the teacher says. When we discuss language lessons in the next section, we will see that these potential inputs from learners themselves can be of great value for language learning.